So, this guy tells his story of when him and his wife bought their first house. So, they buy the first house, said it's everything and more they'd ever dreamed of, and they couldn't wait to get in and start decorating. So they set about doing all this property up and then moved in. Now, after a few weeks of moving in, her husband starts to notice that little things are going missing, only to be showing up a couple of days later in random places. So he questions it with his wife, and she says, I've noticed this myself. I was going to ask you the same thing. Then one night they're in bed and they both wake up to hear creaking. They can't figure out where the creaking's coming from, but towards the stairs. They sort of look at each other and they brush it off as the house may be settling sounds. So about a week later, they're stood in the kitchen. He's over near the chopping board chopping, she's near the kitchen sink. And as she stops doing what she's doing, she turns around to her husband to say something, and they both hear a bang right above them. So this is a detached house, no neighbours attached to them, no TV on, no radio on. They stood there in the same room just looking across to each other thinking, what the fuck? He grabs a knife out of the drawer and decides to go upstairs to investigate. She rings the police. So he's slowly walking up the stairs and says he was absolutely petrified, while she's on the phone behind him, whispering or talking quietly to the police. Anyway, he checks the rooms upstairs, doesn't see anything. The police arrive. They decide to go and check the property. So they follow him up. They go in every room and there's nothing. They get to the final room, which is in fact a bedroom converted into their office space. And just as they turn around to leave the room, they hear a creak right above their head. The officer looks at him and her, and they sort of whisper, "That's the attic space." So the police officer pulls down the attic door, climbs up the steps, shines a torch to look around the attic, and there is a guy sat crouched up there looking back at him. Can you even imagine? The guy is in fact brought down and arrested. It turns out the guy's homeless, and in between the realtor showing them around the property and leaving it unlocked at some point, this guy had got in there before they'd moved in, and he'd been living in this house with them for a whole month, and they had no idea.